I got it.
So this guy, he's spent the winter up in the high country, got in a fight with a grizzly bear during the winter. He was there by himself. The grizzly tore his arm off. The guy gets his arm and he goes back in there in the cabin and he sews it back on himself.
Sure.
And he makes it through the winter, comes down to the valley after the winter, walking down the street, and he passes a bar and he sees in the window it says bouncer wanted, and he needed to work. So he goes in and he applies for the job of bouncer, and the owner says, man, I don't know, this is a logger bar. The loggers come in here with their boots and cleats and they have fights, and he says it's ugly, ugly. He goes, and you're a small guy, and he goes, I don't, and the guy goes, hold it. He goes, I just came down from the high country, grizzler tore my arm off, I sewed it back on for myself. He goes, I'm a lot tougher than I look, and I don't think I'd have any trouble with your loggers. And the guy goes, grizzler tore? He goes, yes. You sewed it back? Yes, sewed it back on myself. He goes, you're hired. And the guy goes, all right.
You know, Flip, since even before I met you, this was the only line that I used in saltwater. As I've mentioned before on many, many videos, and I just mentioned it, I'm sure, from a 6-weight on up, it's the only fly line I use. And you helped solidify that in me. But tell us about the high-vis flip line and what, maybe just a pinch about how it came about and what makes it so special in your mind.
Well, there's a lot of little tricks there in that line, but I think the probably one of the most helpful features of that line for someone who's really trying to improve their casting or keep their casting at its current level, whatever.
Consistent?
Yeah, I mean, this is a line that you can see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's international orange in color on purpose. Not because I think people like that color, but people can see that color. And if you can see what's happening to your loop in your peripheral vision as you're fishing, and this was developed as a sight fishing line. That's why the tapers are what they are in this line, so that they could be used effectively in sight fishing situations. But the most important thing is that you be able to see your loop as you're using it and make adjustments to your cast so that your loop behaves in the way that you want it to behave.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the great advantages of that line. Another is that when you're fishing to a distant target, whether it's an individual fish or a shoreline, where you're working along the shoreline trying to hit likely looking spots, the more easily you can see the end of your fly line, the more easily you can control the distance of the cast. I mean, fly lines to me that are dull in color are very, very hard for me to use in sight fishing situations. I'm not having fun when I'm doing that. Mm-hmm. Another really, really good benefit of a bright colored line like this is, let me give you a scenario. You're on the deck of a boat and you're fishing to a bonefish, a permit, a tarpon, a fish that you clearly see, but you're fishing him from a boat that's being poled. And there's wind and there's current and the boat could be moving. You make your cast and you begin to strip, but the boat could be drifting toward the fish as you're stripping. If you can clearly see the end of your line and you can see that your stripping speed is moving the end of your line the way you want it to move, at the speed that you want it to move, it's for certain your fly is doing the same thing 10, 12, 15 feet away, the length of your leader. Very often you can't see the fly,
sure,
but you can always see the end of this fly line.
Yep.
So you can make the end of that fly line behave the way you want your fly to behave. Moving in small little increments, but actually making progress over the bottom. If the boatman can't keep the boat in one position for one reason, the bottom might be too hard, he can't stake out, might be too much wind, but hey, whatever the front of that line does, the fly does.
Yeah.
So as a fishing tool, just the color alone separates it from most other lines.
I'm to the point now where I just can't fish anything but a brightly colored fly line.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like this orange. I also like white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people who market these dark color lines are quick to say, well, the fish see those lines. Well, if you're showing the fish your fly line, you're not fishing correctly. It's as simple as that.
There it is.
It does
right
not
there.
matter what color that line is.
Yeah.
Don't show it to the fish.
I think I always credit it to Lefty, but I think Lefty used to say, fly line color doesn't spook fish, bad casting spooks fish.
A dark colored line, let's say a olive drab colored line, is seen in silhouette against the sky by the fish. I mean, they see a black line against a light colored sky. They're not seeing, oh, well, it's olive drab, I can't see it.
Yeah.
No, they see a silhouette in the sky, and if you show them that silhouette, surely they'll spook.
Yeah. Well, it's just a fantastic line, and just a little bit of history on this line. It was for years and years manufactured by Jim Teeney, a good friend of both of ours, and then I think it went away for a while.
Just for a short while, and then Cortland resurrected it. But it's got a core that's a little stiffer than most fly lines,
Right.
and so it doesn't want to tangle as badly. It's very good about not tangling.
Yes.
With that stiff core, and in my view, the stiff core helps the casting ability of the line as well.
There's no question.
God, I remember when we were kids and the fly lines didn't last very long, but they would deteriorate, but the last stage of that deterioration was they got really stiff. And that's when they would really cast the best,
Yeah.
when they were really stiff. So I love that stiff core. I love the little bit longer rear taper to support the loop a little bit better. And there's some things about the line, but
We use this.
line.
We use this line. I use it for bass fishing in Ohio. I use it for smallmouth fishing in Ohio. Literally 6 weight and up. I fish nothing but, and I fish it for bass. I fish it for pike, muskie when I use a floating line. I fish it for bonefish, redfish, tarpon, permit. The other thing I'll say is that a lot of guides that we work with, the guides in the Bahamas, once they got over the fact that it's not clear or
Right.
blue or whatever. Nick Leeden, a great friend of mine who just passed away this past spring, Nick used to say that this line was a godsend. And he would say it in that Bahamian accent, that's a godsend. And Travis Huckabee, we fished redfish and tarpon with Travis. Travis has seen the light, and Travis now understands why I fish this line. And he said, he said that line allows me to tell you what to do.
Yeah, because he can see the end of it.
And he can say, wait, strip, because he knows exactly where my line ends and exactly where that fly
You
is.
know when you have to make longer strips. You
Yeah.
know when you have to make shorter strips.
And I've had countless customers who they would throw a blue line out there, and they had no idea whether it was tight or whether it was in coils, and now they knew when to strip or when to catch up or tighten up. And it's really, I've always said that your leader and your fly line are way more important than your rod and your reel. And this is a critical component to my fishing, and it's thanks to Flip and also thanks to Cortland. I don't know if you remember, but it was about 6 or 7 years ago, and you and I walked over to the Cortland booth, and we introduced ourselves to John at Cortland. And I think it took about 2 sentences and you were hired. And then I said, hey, why don't we bring the flip line back? And John looked at both of us and said, let's do it. So it was done. So great company, Cortland Fly Line. Thanks to them for resurrecting the high-vis flip line. I think they actually made it even better. They made it.
Well, they did. They've made some improvements
Yep.
in it. You know what? Cortland listens really well.
Yeah.
They
Well,
do.
they're doing a great job, and we're proud to be one of the largest Cortland line dealers in the U.S. And it's partly thanks to this. This is one of our #1 selling lines, and I think we're really gaining ground on this fear of bright colored, and especially the bright orange lines. It's literally all I fish, and there's your rod. There's my 2 rods that I've got down here in Florida. And one of the best fly lines ever made in my estimation, the high vis flip. You can check it out at madriveroutfitters.com as always, and be sure to subscribe to our channel. That helps us. Hit the like button, that makes us feel good. You can go to flippallot.com and learn more about this guy, of course. And you know, we just appreciate you being here, right?